Today I'm going to talk to you about a really influential book that I read around 6 or 7 years ago that changed my way of thinking around work. The book that I read was actually recommended to me by a friend of mine who had already been reading the book, and I realized that friend had a very good skill of being assertive and really steering. That friend had a really good skill that was helping him with his work, and I was trying to figure out how he does the things he does. So I asked him about what kind of books he reads and what he does. And the book that he told me that he had read that had helped him was 48 Laws of Power. I actually went over on YouTube first and I actually researched the book. And I remember watching reviews about the book telling me to stay away from the book and how bad the book is. And initially it actually put me off. It was describing the book as Machiavellian and dark, and I didn't at the time know what even Machiavellian meant. So I went back to my friend and I said to him, you know, this book, are you sure you want me to read it? Because it seems pretty dark from the YouTube reviews that I've read. And he went, read the book for yourself and make your own decision. So it's actually something that I've actually decided to do. And it was actually a very good lesson because I went to actually read that book. And the book, it was pretty long, and I'm actually not naturally a very good reader. I actually read very slow. I don't have a natural ability to read. I've got better over years and I've found my own way of doing things, but I remember really working through this book in a slower pace. And I remember even that confidence in school I didn't have when someone would say, when it was my turn to read out loud, I used to try to find a way to do it. I actually used to rebel by not reading, by showing some cheek or causing disruption in the class out of embarrassment for not wanting to read. And others found it either funnier and would say I'm a clown, would say I'm joking. But for me, I was just trying to get out of reading. And as I've read more and more throughout the years, I've realized that I have to read, and I've actually come to conquer that fear. And I still actually don't like reading out loud, but now I actually feel a lot more comfortable doing it than I once did. But the book, what did it actually do for me? Now, I actually think in my early 20s, I was a very naive man. I was very naive. Maybe it was my upbringing, a very naive outlook on the world. And I remember in my work, many people around me were progressing, and they were not as skilled as I was. They were not as skilled as the job, but what did they have? They actually had the skill, or they actually had the skills that are in this book, many of them which I had not learned and I did not possess. And some of the skills that I've actually taken away from, the two laws or the two skills that I've actually gained from that book, I would say are, one of which is never outshine your master. That law I actually interpreted every law specific to my work career and how it would be helping me. And as I've read through the book again recently, I've interpreted the book very differently again. But initially, when I first read the book, my interpretation was, I worked in membership sales. So if I was to make a membership sale, I was always the best salesman in the company. Every single year, I won so many accolades and awards. And initially, when we had people come from our head office or senior staff come and tell me what a great job I've done, I would take the credit, but I wasn't never sure on how to actually handle that credit. So I was actually shy and just said thank you. The intimidation factor that you had from your leadership team and a senior team that was coming from London right up to Sheffield, and there was this intimidation factor that I would have from seeing these senior figures as a junior salesperson on them congratulating me, and I would just say thank you and kind of put my head down. And then over time, from never outshine your master, the lesson that I actually took was my manager, who I knew I was more skilled than, he was a great manager, but I was a better salesperson than he was. I would actually tell the leadership team, it's because of him. It's how he's taught me, it's what he's done for me. And I would tell them all these amazing things that how I could never have done it without him. The leadership would go and they would forget me. They would probably see me 2 or 3 times a year. But that manager, me giving that compliment whilst he was there, he stuck with him. He remembered it. And I think it actually changed our relationship instantly because he was trying to shine in front of the leadership team. And I think at times he was struggling to do so because he was a rebellious character. But when I gave him that credit, the energy shifted. He saw he was being congratulated. And his win became my win, because when I got him to take the credit and he actually won some accolades because of being such a great sales coach, which I don't think he was, but because he won so many accolades for being such a great sales coach, which I had given him credit for, he actually treated me a lot kinder and gave me a lot more benefits. So the energy around my job and my day-to-day became so relaxed because he knew that he was looking great because of me. And that shifted the enjoyment that I had at work. I think that was a pivotal point, because that ended up being a 6-7 year career at this company, only because in the first year I had got the manager on my side. I don't know if you've heard the saying before, employees don't leave organizations, they leave managers. So if you're someone who works at a job right now and you think of a job that you've left in the past, you've left that job because of that manager, not because of the company. So people leave managers, not organizations. And that was a great lesson that I learned very early on helping my manager and actually getting him to take all the credit. The second lesson that I actually took away from the book, I'm only going to share 2 today. I might actually do a part 2 on some more lessons that I've actually learned. The second lesson was say less than necessary. That lesson, it actually changed so much for me, because I think, although I was naive, I used to just talk for the sake of it. I used to say additional words that meant nothing. I think looking back, I would talk when I was not confident about a topic. And I realized by saying less, it had given the impression that I was more confident. It had given the impression that I know more. Because talking too much for me always got me in trouble. So that lesson was so valuable for me, because I could now just sit and observe. That changed my character over the last 5, 6, 7 years, because now I actually feel very comfortable to say less. And obviously the 48 Laws book led me to Stoicism and a lot of Ryan Holiday's books. And that made me a lot more observant in a room. That made me a lot more confident just being quiet after reading a lot of Ryan Holiday's book. And I built upon that skill after reading those books. But that initial lesson that I learned from always say less than necessary was so valuable to me. And I think of so many rooms that I've been in, and I've said the least amount of words, but I've left that room with amazing networking, but I've left that room with great contacts, just because at times people were like, this gentleman got more to offer? Because the 1 or 2 things that I did say were really valuable. I didn't say so many things that I gave so much of my knowledge away. I almost left an air of mystery, and that air of mystery led a lot of the times people to be drawn to me and think, does this guy actually know a bit more? I think at the time that was just an early skill that I'd learned, and I've kind of built upon that. And now actually, the lessons actually change now, where if I don't know about something, I actually say I don't know much about it, and I would just express how I don't know anything about it and I'm wanting to learn about it. So that actual energy shifted, and kind of dropping my ego, which again came from Stoicism, but letting go of ego and saying when I don't know something and staying quiet. But all these initial skills actually came from just reading 48 Laws of Power initially, taking the lessons that were relevant to me and using them. I do think if you're a certain type of character and you read this book, you might actually walk away from that book being a worse person. That could happen. But for me, it actually helped me, because I was so naive and I was so gullible at times. So the book was really valuable for me. And those are the 2 lessons I want to share. Obviously, I think overall there's an amazing lesson in every single law that Robert Greene has, and even in the 50th law, where he went and followed 50 Cent, and he actually studied 50 Cent, and he's expressed one of the key lessons that he learned from 50 Cent that made him successful in his career, in multiple careers, has been urgency. How 50 would always act in urgency for every task. And I actually think I've really honed that skill in, and that's one of the key things, because if someone messages me, I'm quick to the mark, I message back, I don't delay anything for a couple of minutes, I don't delay anything for 5-10 minutes, I do every task as it comes in, If it's a task that's going to take me an hour, I'll allocate a time. If it's a task that's going to take me 20 seconds, I'll do it straight away. If it's a task that's going to take me 2 minutes, I can think, right, can I do this right now? I'll do it now and move on. And that decision making I've refined over years, and now I can really stack, and now I can really get through my day and get a lot more done from each day because I'm not wasting time putting stuff off till later. I'll get things done there and then. I'm trying to share some of my lessons and hopefully you can resonate with them and relate to them. If they do, please like and share, subscribe to the YouTube page, share it on your socials, tell people about this YouTube page because as you can see, it's a new YouTube page and I'm trying to build it. And the mission that I'm trying to accomplish, which is to help as many people as possible through all the free content that I'm trying to provide. Thank you. Bye.